Okay, let's go. Happy Friday. This is a review for a set called the Crinear Daybreak. It is a $169 tribrid. It's got a DD subwoofer, it's what it's called on this website right there. Two BAs and a twin microplanar tweeter, which I believe are planars that look like little mini balanced armatures. They're in like a shoebox type of configuration. The frequency response graph is right here. If you are a subscriber to my channel, this and the unbox, go ahead and comment below because this set in my hand is going to be a giveaway item. The Dusk 3, I think that's what that was called, was signed by him on the box. That was sent out. That person might be watching this video. I hope you enjoy that. And also you have a signed box of his. The Meta that I did on this channel very quickly went out, so this will probably go out within 7 days, faster than other stuff that I've given away because this is like a hot item. So you getting it before a lot of other people would probably be more appealing as a giveaway. So I move quickly with these ones. So go ahead and comment below, give the video a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to both channels, and good luck to you. And if you've won before, you can still win again. There's not like some weird arbitrary limit on that. Let's talk about this set real quick. This is the frequency response graph that you're looking at right here. There's nothing really jumping out at you. It's similar to the Meta with a little bit less treble energy, but that's actually a good point that I'm going to talk about. The graph doesn't convey to you the amount of force that comes through when I listen to something like Kendrick Lamar Backseat Freestyle. That is a vicious, vicious hit, and it comes through this with spades. I was absolutely stunned about that. That's not something I recall because I don't have the Meta anymore. Again, somebody won that. I don't recall that happening with that set, and it could be the same driver and it could be crossed over in the same way, but for some reason it just didn't feel the same. It almost felt like a semi-detached driver, like it's a bandpass crossover where instead of it gliding into and blending into the mids, it just kind of cuts off at a specific frequency. That's kind of what it sounds like to my ear, and I actually love it because it sounds like that, because when there is low frequency events, particularly in hip-hop, it actually really slams a lot more than the graph would indicate. Let's go ahead and get into music, starting with 808 Rollins, like Backseat Freestyle, Tupac, Outkast, Kendrick Lamar, Public Enemy, Jay-Z, stuff like that. The drops come in really good, very surprisingly good. If you're a bass head and you look at that, you think that's not really, you really ought to put years on this if you get a chance, like your friend has it. You should really maybe listen to this. This is an interesting set. Graphs are good guides, but the amount of slam that this gives off is not really. You just can't get it from the graph. It's my main point of being excited about the set. And then there's also the fact that I can't really find a DQ, like you should maybe move on. It's usually in the bass. It's usually something I say, bass said you move along. You hold up a second. Wait just a second. As we get into 4 and 5 string bass guitars, remember it's a bass guitar, but its actual effective region goes out to about 6 kilohertz, which means that tuning beyond the bass region can impact stuff like the pulls, the plucks, the release, the ringing of the string in particular, can sound muted, fuzzy, abnormal, maybe sharp, depending on the tuning that's in the mids and the ear gain. This actually sounds quite good. It sounds snappy. That was one of the first things, because I start in the bass, that I thought sounded good. Please Do Not Go by the Violent Femmes, Sultans of Swing by Dire Straits are some that I always listen to. I thought that sounded really good. So the 808 drops are exceptional. The bass guitar is very good. The Bonham kick drum, which is actually, I leapfrogged from Backseat Freestyle to that because I thought, wow, that is slamming hard. That's a very produced kick drum from Led Zeppelin's 4th album. It's supposed to sound potent and really in your face. It's not simply a kick drum, it's a very produced kick drum. That's why I use that as an example. I can get a kick drum moment from really hundreds of tracks in my library, but that's a specific one. This comes through quite well. So the low end is great, with a great emphasis on the 808 drops, which just seem to pop out at you, which is, you guys know I'm a hip hop. I'm listening to a Kendrick Lamar album right now. Love that. Sounds epic on the low end. As we get into vocals, Chris Cornell, Lane Staley, Nina doing the cover Blondie, it's important for me to say to you why I'm always rambling about the same 3 tracks. I listen to other stuff, of course, but my opinions on this can't be connected to things a month ago or a year ago if I'm not using the same exact tracks. context is important, and if I'm mixing stuff up and I'm talking about random tracks and random videos, there's really no correlation between them because they're literally produced different. They're different emphasized points of the track. So I use the same thing. It's kind of like an autism thing, but it also makes a lot of sense to me. If I'm a consumer, I want to be able to look back at what you said 2 months ago about another set using the same stuff. So that's why I talk about that. The tuning, if you look at, this is where the bass and its sound is very interesting. The mid bass is actually just a little bit below my target, which is one of the more mid bassy targets that are out there. But it's not lacking there. But the good part of that is the husking of female vocals, like I mentioned in the previous video, particularly with Stevie Nicks on the Rumors album. She's already got a kind of throaty vocal. It sounds nice and clean here. There's also a little bit of energy at the top of the ear gain at around 2.5 to 3.5 to 4 kilohertz. It's descending, but it's boosted up a little bit. I think vocals sound very nice and clean. They're up and out of everything else. They sound up forward and centered when they're supposed to be, like when there's a solo. Nothing stood out to me there, and I think that the reason that that's the case is that if we move beyond that, we get into the treble, which is really exclusively harmonics / overtones, which means if I knock my knuckle on the table and you see that on a spectrogram, it's going to be a split second of a lot of energy, and then it's going to quickly dissipate over time. The scale from left to right is over time. A cymbal strike, a guitar, picks, fingers, electric, acoustic, with or without distortion pedals, rides or crashes, and keyboards or pianos, those moments of pushing the key down or pulling on the string, that's just a split second, really. The noise that it creates lasts a much longer time, and that's really harmonics. This is somewhat subdued, but it's not really rolled off in any kind of a way. I think that's why vocals sound excellent to me, because I'm not getting that skewed split second longer life that I get when things are a little bit boosted. I'm really not a fan of sets that have a boosted area that's really close or exceeds the top of the ear gain later in the treble. It just sounds unnatural, and it'll give me a sound of, somebody actually mocked this term. I said it sounds like dropping sand on glass. That's what grainy is to me, and they laughed at that, and I thought, well, how are you going to describe that to people? You're not going to take sand and drop it on glass, but that's what it reminds me of. It's not a normal sound, and it's picking up the residuals and the sparse info that might actually exist that far up in the mix. It doesn't sound pleasant, and I don't like it, and in this type of tuning I don't hear that, but I do hear that when that late treble is boosted. So in the harmonics, I think it's doing excellent, which means that this is something I could listen to for a long time. I could listen to Kendrick Lamar, Good Kid, Mad City, and get that backseat freestyle and enjoy that slam. And I could transition into Fleetwood Mac, Rumors, and listen to two female vocals with very different. Christy McVie and Stevie Nicks are quite different in their vocal type, but they're both females. And then I've got two male vocals, and that sounds good as well. And then I could transition into Verdi or Vivaldi or Tchaikovsky, and it would play all three of those quite well. It's kind of a jack of all trades with a subwoofer-like sound when that's the type of music that you're listening to. So I think that this will really play everything. A hip-hop library, I don't know how many people are going to come out down the road and say, like, you should get this. $169, jack of all trades, really. Plus it slams quite hard, a lot more than the graph would indicate. Am I glazing or simping out? Because that's something I thought before I did this video, because I was actually thinking, let me be as transparent as possible. I was trying to think of something to say that would be like watch out for this, because that makes me look better. Like I'm saying, this thing's awesome, 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 and then I stick in something and it kind of balances it out, because you don't want to look like a total simp. But I don't really have anything for you. Again, the low frequency sounds great, emphasis with the kick drum, and big emphasis when it comes to the drops for 808. Vocals sound very nice and clean. There's no problem with it. I prefer this over the Maida because I don't get any hint of grain. There's no fatigue at all, and it won't come after a period of time. This is a sofa set. So I don't really have any. It's $169, and it's a tribrid. And then the guy that's behind the company is very familiar with the hobby, and it's not going to put up with any BS. So you've got that protection layer of, if anything were to go wrong, which happens, it wouldn't be an issue. There's not a lot of companies out there that you can really say that with, because they're so present and out in the hobby on multiple platforms. That is a big deal. A lot of people get turned off and jaded in the hobby because of stuff that happens after they receive the item. They're okay with the price that they paid, the shipping goes fine, they get it, and then something is non-ideal, and then they have interaction with the company and it goes kind of bad, and they start to have a bad image of the company. I do the same thing. I don't even review certain brands because I can't get over my bias, or I don't think I can, so I don't review them. So that's a big deal. And your mind and how comfortable you are with everything relates to how you listen to stuff. It's a physiological type of thing. If you're not in a good mental condition, your hearing probably won't be as good as it is when you're in a great mood. Like this is a big deal. So having somebody in the hobby that's familiar and has been in the hobby for about 15 years or more, and knows all of the behind the curtain stuff, and takes all of his tuning knowledge and applies it to his own brand, there's a lot of winning going on there. And then there's the $169 price tag. That's very easy for me to recommend to you. So the Daybreak gets a big rec. I think it's among the best or the second best. I'm going to say for me the best set that he's ever put his name on, like as a collaboration. Remember, the set that's similar to this in some ways is, I think, the Dusk 3 without the slam, and that's also over $300, and I wasn't quite a fan of that because it was a little bit energetic, or I thought I could hear here's something that I didn't. This is what not scripting does. The possibility that area that is slightly falling down, like a waterfall, as I described, that's literally my target, actually, by the way. When that's boosted up, I'm sensitive to planar and piezo. You might be too. And I'm most sensitive to those when they're a little bit, sounds like they're doing more than they should be doing. Does that make sense to you? It sounds like a driver, any kind of transducer, like a dynamic driver, when it's doing too much low end for its own spec, it'll just get flobby, flappy, and start blooming into the mids and just destroy the whole replay, because that particular driver and that tuning isn't really matching and working out. When these planars, these little shoebox planars, are given too much energy, I start to get I don't really like the replay. I think I can't remember the tuning of the Dusk, but I without the DSP, I thought that was slightly intense. And the Meta actually over time would be a little bit intense, but I didn't get on that too much because that was limited by the time I did my video. It was already sold out. So if you got that and you're happy with it, that's great. I actually think that this is a better set than the Meta. I'm glad that this is the set that is mass available and not the Meta, because I really think that this is better. And the detached subwoofer at times sound is just, love it. Chef's kiss, good stuff. Shout out to Critical for sending it here. Maybe he knows that my ears are going to pick up that bass, because it does just pops out. And good luck to you. If you're a subscriber to both channels, go ahead and comment below, give the video a thumbs up. It doesn't matter if you've won before, and ask around. There's people out there with the Meta, with the Dusk, with other collabs that Crin did, and they got it actually pretty quickly because I ship around the world. If anybody ever reaches out to you, it's not me, because I don't do that. If anybody ever tells you got to pay a penny, that's not me. I don't do that. This is giving back to the hobby. So Crin sent it to me, and I'm going to end up sending it to you, somebody in the comments below. Have a great day, and also congrats to Crin. This is really, really starting out quite nice. Very, very nice. The Meta is something that people are going to like. This is a little bit different. People are going to like this. And then there's another one that I think is very much reference type tuning. I don't even know the name of that, but I think that might be the name of it, actually. And I'm out. You guys have a great weekend. And don't forget to comment below. Thumbs up for the engagement. Appreciate it. And good luck. And I'm out.